Please, just one more time, my husband said, despite being in the midst of divorce mediation. This is your last request, so I'll come and join you. My husband was delighted with my words, but he was left speechless by my surprise. My name is Patricia, and I've been married to my husband Gail for 3 years. We have 2 sons, aged 1 and 3, and to those around us, we seem like a very normal and close-knit family. Gail loves our kids dearly, and he is a great father to them. They, in turn, are very fond of him. However, as a husband, he's not great to me. Gail is the youngest of 3 siblings, and it seems he was spoiled by his mother. His father, the only person who would scold him, passed away when he was 13. Since then, his mother's indulgence has only increased. She took care of everything for him, so he was like a prince in her eyes. Growing up in such an environment, Gail seemed to think it was normal for his mother to do everything for him. After we got married, he tried to make me take on his mother's role, and when I refused, he would tell her about it, passing it off as consulting her. My mother-in-law, who loves her son, would always get angry, and she would criticize me for everything I did at home. She would even interfere in our marriage, and sometimes when I wasn't home, she would enter our house and leave containers of food or clean up the place. I didn't know why she had a key to our house, so I asked my suspicious husband, and he confessed. She'd need one if something ever happened, you know. He had given her a copy of our key without my permission just in case. This is unacceptable. You need to get the key back right now, I shouted in anger. All right. Gail reluctantly agreed and got her to return the key the next day. In short, my husband is someone who hasn't yet grown out of his dependence on his mother, and my mother-in-law is someone who hasn't yet grown out of her dependence on her son. I have been caught up in their antics numerous times. Since I took the key back from my mother-in-law, Gail has been going to her house more frequently. At first, I didn't think much of it, but he started dressing up more stylishly and even wearing strong-smelling cologne. He didn't seem like he was just going back to his parents' place. Is it necessary to dress up like that just to visit your mother? I asked him once, and he became clearly flustered. What? I can do whatever I want. I was sure he was cheating on me, so I hired a detective to investigate. As expected, I soon found evidence of his infidelity, and since I had other complaints against him, I decided to ask him for a divorce. Welcome home. Can we talk? On this day, my husband said he was going to his parents' house, but he actually met with his mistress and came back home late at night. I stayed up for him and started talking to him when he returned. Oh, you scared me. You're still up? Yes, I have something to talk to you about. About what? I want to talk to you calmly. Would you please sit down? When I said that, he looked puzzled and sat down on a chair. What's with the formal tone? You're having an affair, aren't you? What? No, I'm not. Well, unfortunately, I already have the evidence. Saying that, I presented the photos that the detective had investigated in front of him. The picture showed my husband walking around while getting cozy with a girl who was 13 years younger than him, and kissing her in public without any hesitation. I don't think you can deny it now, can you? I sent a cold stare towards Gail. He froze after looking at the photos and looked like he was thinking for a while. I'm sorry, he apologized. I don't know what got into me. I'll break up with her right away. I don't care if you break up with her or not. I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. Let's get a divorce. What? Why should we get a divorce? Why? Because you cheated on me. Isn't that a normal reaction? I'm telling you, I don't know what got into me. The woman I really love is you. Please, cheer up. Saying that, he moved next to me and hugged me. Stop it, it's disgusting. I pushed my husband away with all my might and rejected him. What the hell? You're so persistent. He got angry and began to argue back. I don't know what you're thinking, but my intention to divorce hasn't changed. You're so stubborn. What about our children? Can you all survive without me? I'll work and take care of them. Of course, you'll have to pay child support. You're underestimating everything. It's not that easy. I know that. You don't need to tell me that. Still, living with someone who betrays their family like you is a bad influence on our sons. Don't be ridiculous. I will never get a divorce. I'm done talking. Realizing that my mind was made up, my husband got angry and gave up on the conversation. After that, I tried to have a few more discussions, but my husband refused. I will never get a divorce. Since we couldn't make any progress on the divorce issue, we ended up going to divorce mediation. To avoid being at a disadvantage during mediation, I signed a contract for a monthly apartment. However, I couldn't move forward with the children's procedures right away. And although I was dissatisfied, I had to live with my husband for a few days. I wasn't happy at all, but I ended up living with him. Today is the last day of that life, and as I was organizing my luggage in my bedroom at night, Gail suddenly entered the room. "Hey, just don't come in like that. What do you want?" I said coldly, and he suddenly started apologizing. "Hey, what's going on?" I was surprised, and he continued, "Please, I just want to see my mother one more time." "What? Why?" "Well, actually..." Gail started to awkwardly explain the reason for my question. Apparently, his mother's 60th birthday celebration was going to be held at his parents' house in a few days. And so he told everyone, "I'm bringing Patricia and the kids." "Wait, haven't you told them we're in the middle of a divorce mediation?" I asked, and he fell silent. I was fed up with his behavior. "I can't do this anymore." Then I resumed packing my things. Meanwhile, he just remained silent, and I got even more annoyed. "Fine, I'll think about it. Just get out for now." I kicked my husband out of the bedroom and locked the door. The next day, as we were leaving the house, Gail came to see us off. "About what we talked about yesterday. I'll participate because it's your last request," I told him. "Really? Thank you, that's great." He was pleased with my words, and despite the fact that we were about to leave, he showed a smile. "But I don't think we can keep silent about the divorce forever. What are you going to do?" I asked my jubilant husband, but he just looked down and remained silent. He has a habit of clamming up when things get tough. Considering his tendency to try to hide his failures and escape from unpleasant situations without admitting them, it would be impossible for him to tell his mother about the divorce. "It's over. Goodbye," I said, turning my back on my husband, who was still sitting there silently, and left the house with my sons. And then it was my mother-in-law's 60th birthday. I went to my in-laws' house with my 2 sons and my sister. We had originally planned to go alone, but my sister had said, "You never know what might happen. I'll take care of my nephews." She offered to help, so I accepted her offer. "Thank you for coming," Gail said to us calmly in front of the entrance. "This is the last time," I said as I went into the house. "Happy 60th birthday." "Oh, the grandkids are here too. Thank you." After greeting my mother-in-law, who was in an unusually good mood, and the relatives who had come to celebrate, I asked my sister to take the boys outside. "Oh, where did the grandkids go?" She noticed that my sons and sister had disappeared and asked me. They were crying a bit, so my sister took them outside. "Oh, you don't have to worry about them." "No, it's because Gail and I have a surprise we want to show you. It's better if it's quiet." "What?" Gail was naturally surprised by my words. "Well, what is it?" "It's from Gail?" I couldn't say anything as I was overwhelmed by her bright eyes. "Here it is. Please take a look, everyone." I then spread the evidence photos of my husband's affair on the table in front of my mother-in-law and relatives. "What?" My husband let out an inaudible cry, and his face grew paler and paler. "What the hell is this?" Mother-in-law, who was expecting something different, screamed with a bright red face. The relatives were also in a commotion, asking, "What's going on?" "It's exactly what you see. It's evidence of Gail's affair. And by the way, we're in the middle of a divorce mediation." "You don't have to say that now." Gail raised his voice and said to me, but I continued. "Even with this much evidence, your son still says he won't get a divorce. Besides, he says he won't pay any compensation or child support if we get a divorce, so we're in trouble." Ignoring Gail, I continued, and he fell silent with his head down. "You know, you talk about divorce so easily, but isn't it your fault if he's having an affair?" To my surprise, she said so with a look of disbelief. "My son often complains to me about you, you know. Talking about compensation, my son is under so much stress because of you. Don't you think he should be the one to receive compensation?" My mother-in-law laughed as if she were making fun of me. Well, her reaction was expected up to this point. "Oh, by the way, I had set up a camera at home. There might be evidence of the affair here too. Let's have everyone check it out." As I spoke, not only my husband but my mother-in-law turned pale. "Stop it," she said, trying to stop me, but I pretended not to hear her and pressed the play button on the camera. "Gail, honey, dinner's ready." "Thanks, Mommy." There was no sign of the affair partner on the camera. Instead, it showed my husband and mother-in-law dressed in my apron, exchanging banter like a newlywed couple. "Well, is it good?" "Yeah, Mommy's cooking is the best. My wife's cooking doesn't agree with my taste buds." "Aw, poor baby. I'll scold her for you." "It's okay. I can endure it if it means we can be a happy family for our son's sake." "You're such a great father, Gail. Let me give you a good boy pat on your head." "Thanks, Mommy." My relatives, including myself, were disillusioned by the conversation that went too far between parent and child. Sensing the atmosphere, my husband lowered his head even more, while my mother-in-law turned red-faced and said this to me. "What kind of person sets up a camera?" She got angry at me. I thought a burglar had broken in because things had been rearranged without my knowledge. I lied. The hidden camera was actually to check what my mother-in-law was doing when I wasn't there. "Well, it turns out it wasn't a burglar or an affair partner, but you," I said to her with a smile, and she finally fell silent and hung her head. "You guys are crazy. Apologize to Patricia right now." Despite being urged by our relatives, both my husband and mother-in-law remained motionless, hanging their heads in shame. At this point, I couldn't help but feel more than just disgusted, but also a little sorry for them. Anyway, what's going on? We have no obligation or reason to be here, so we're leaving. I said that and turned my back on my husband, who was still being blamed by all the relatives, and left the house. I then met up with my sister and sons, who were waiting at a nearby family restaurant, and went back to the monthly apartment. After that, Gail was severely scolded by his brothers and accepted the conditions I presented, and the divorce was successfully completed. Since the deadline for the monthly apartment contract was approaching, I was in a hurry to find a new home, but my sister and her husband said, "You can stay at our place for a while." So I moved into their house for a short time. I felt really guilty about ruining the 60th birthday celebration, but I decided to let my mother-in-law and sons meet before moving. When we met at a park near her home, she looked a bit tired. "Long time no see." "Yes, it's been a while." We exchanged a brief greeting, and I watched my sons interact with her for a while. Then, just before we left, my mother-in-law apologized to me. "I'm really sorry about everything that's happened so far, and about my son's infidelity." I couldn't believe my ears when she apologized to me like that. After the uproar on her 60th birthday, she had apparently been looking at evidence of the affair on her own. She felt disgusted when she saw pictures of her son, who was in his late 30s, showing favoritism and being lovey-dovey with a woman who is clearly more than 13 years younger than him. Then she looked at a picture of herself and her son objectively, and realized that their behavior was abnormal. "You be careful not to end up like that too," she said, admonishing me from a somewhat condescending position. I replied with a smile. "Yes, I will. But of course, there's a common sense rule that you shouldn't just go into someone else's house without permission. So I'm fine." Several months have passed since then, and I still send emails to Gail to keep him informed about our sons. He had taken good care of our sons, and I still believe that he is their father no matter what kind of person he is. However, in his replies to my emails, he sent me all sorts of useless information, such as how his affair partner had left him, how he lost friends because of the affair, and how his mother had not been paying any attention to him lately. What's even more disgusting is what he wrote at the end of each email. "Now I can be yours and yours alone." Since Gail is not independent, he probably wants to get back together with me, but I have absolutely no interest in him, so I completely ignore him. Now I have a new job and live happily with my 2 adorable sons, making sure not to spoil them so that they don't become like their father.